Hey everyone. So, in addition to it being a fairly big night for the federal liberals, for authoritarian collectivism, for top down big government, big spending, debts, and deficits, and propping up an already overbloated public sector bureaucracy, well, another direct consequence of the liberals gaining a minority government status is the benefit it brings to crony corporations, SNC Lavalin in particular. Headline out of the Financial Post: this is what SNC Lavalin shares have been doing since Liberals won the election. Company found itself inside a political storm earlier this year. So as you can see there, the lines basically looks like a rocket getting ready to take off, right? It's like the trajectory is basically straight up in the air. And why? Well, maybe they'll get that get out of jail free card that they lobbied the Liberal government for in the first place. You know, that whole spectacle where Trudeau basically pressured Jody Wilson-Raybould into giving them a deferred prosecution agreement. In other words, like I say, a get out of jail free card for all their corruption or all their bribery. Yep, well, apparently they're expecting great things to come as a result of the Liberals gaining another chance at governing this country, right? Apparently, well, the stocks speak volumes. It's saying they're expecting that the status quo, corruption, that's back on the table, and all is well that ends well, I guess. This is a repost of an article by Devya Balil, or Bali, Bloomberg News, October 22nd, 2019. Shares of SNC Lavalin Group Inc. surged amid optimism Justin Trudeau's election win may pave the way forward for the embattled engineering firm. Montreal-based SNC jumped as much as 12%, the most since September 10th after Prime Minister Trudeau's Liberal Party won a second term to lead Canada with a minority government. The company found itself in the middle of Canada's biggest political crisis in years after the country's ethics watchdog found Trudeau pushed for the company to avoid a criminal trial over its dealings in Libya. When asked whether a so-called deferred prosecution agreement is more likely with the Trudeau Liberals back in power, Finance Minister Bill Morneau said on BNN Bloomberg TV Tuesday, "That's a continuing decision that the Justice Minister will have to have." Trudeau has always said his interest in SNC's fate was based on his desire to avoid job losses. Prior to this week, the stock had slumped more than 60% this year after the company issued 3 profit warnings, wrote down the value of its Middle East energy business, and lost a contract in Chile valued at $260 million US. Anyways, folks, I'll place a link to this article in the description of the video below. But once again, a lot of people are benefiting today as a result of the federal Liberals, even though it's going to be a minority. But as you see, big government, the public sector, crony corporations, corrupt corporations, you know, the banksters, the elite, the media establishment. I mean, lots and lots of winners today. Like I say, the big divide, that's the one thing I'll say. It's weird because in Canada, I watched, at the very least, this is the thing that kind of is disturbing to me, is I watched Brexit, right? And I know it's 3 years later and they're still not getting it done. So I get it. The entrenched bureaucracy, the establishment, the ruling class, even in the UK, is desperate to cling on to the power and deny people their voices or what they voted for. But at the very least, the UK people showed that they come together enough, or at least enough of them, to vote against the ruling establishment. So they did actually vote for Brexit. So at least the message was sent to their ruling establishment, just like down in the US. The people of the US, yeah, Trump's, having a hard time getting things done because the deep state, the bureaucratic state, yeah, they're trying to fight him at every angle and deny him his ability to do what he wants to do or to implement the mandate that the American people voted for. But at the very least, once again, the American people at least sent the message to the ruling establishment and the elite that, no, you're on notice. Here's a big old message. Here's a big old sign. We're coming for you. Now, I get, like I say, even there, it's not working out as well as the so-called deplorables or Trump supporters would like. But like I say, at least the message is there. The messaging got out. It got out of the gate. It got out of the box. And Canadians haven't even chosen. Well, think about it. The election results saying they're not even willing to send a message or a warning sign or anything to the ruling establishment. No, Canadians were given a choice and they chose, yep, more of the same, please. We're scared of change. We don't want change. Whatever the reason is, yep, the Canadian people, or the majority of them, chose to maintain the status quo and keep the ruling establishment in power for the foreseeable future. So apparently Canadians aren't even brave or bold enough to, at the very least, send a message to the ruling establishment. Once again, just another reason for me to hang my head in shame for the Canadian people, or at least those who turned out to vote for the ruling establishment and to keep them in power. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.